Hello guys, a very good morning to one and all, and today's topic is object oriented programming with Java, and in that we are going to discuss about today RS concept. And in yesterday or day before yesterday we have already done with some kind of array introduction, and we have seen a few programs on array. So today what we are going to do is today we are going to see one more one or two example, then we are going to go for multi-dimensional arrays. Okay, so now let me revise quickly what we have done in the yesterday's session. In yesterday's session, we have been talking about different kinds of arrays like single dimensional or multi-dimensional arrays, and in which single dimensional arrays we have seen different examples how to read the elements to an array and how to store them and how to print them, and we have already seen something like how to find the sum of given elements within that particular array, or else second thing is we have already seen a product of array also. Now today what we are going to see a few more examples and the same on single dimension array itself. So today we are going to see about how do you find for example let me tell you a very simple example now. For example, if the question is like this, for example you want to find out a large number from the given three numbers, right? For example, a question is like this. So if you have a question is like this, to find the large number from the given three numbers, it is pretty simple. You can use simple if else statement. I mean to say multiple if else statement, you can use it and you can print them. Alright. So what is a large element or what is the small element in that? And the basic concept is, for example, if someone is asked you to get, for example, I have a 10 or 15 numbers, okay. So for example, I am giving 20 or 30 numbers as an input to that particular program, okay. So in which I want to find out what is a large element or not. For example, best thing, so I am giving a student marks, alright. So student marks who scored in the subject of mathematics, right. In mathematics, I am trying to enter some around 20 students marks, in which at the end what I want to find out is I want to find out who is a greater number, I mean who scored a large number and who scored a least number. If a question is like this, does if else statement is works or not? First we have to find out it. Simple variable concept is not usable or not used for the concept what we are trying to discuss now. Nothing but it is not a single element, it is something more than one element. Sometime it is 20, sometime it is 30, or sometime it is 40, alright. Depends on you or depends on the question, it can be changes, alright. So in that way, if you want to store these 20 values within a single variable, your program has to have almost 20 variable declaration. Along with that, you need something like for example, you need to have some kind of applications, like you need to have a simple if else statement to compare 20 different state numbers, right. Instead of that, we can make our work very simple with the help of RS concept is again. So if a question is like someone is asking a question, in your interview, you need to find out the large number among 10 numbers. Anything is more than 3, you can apply this logic whatever we are going to discuss right now. Am I very clear, guys? Yes. Now let me show you the screen once so that you will understand what I am trying to tell you right now. Okay, right. Let me show you the screen once so that you will understand what I am trying to tell you right now. So I want to find the large number among 10 numbers. Yes, so we have been discussed about single dimension array in the last class also, right. So we have discussed some of the examples of single dimension array. So now let me write single dimension arrays we are going to discuss right now, right. So let me have a simple thing, right. Let me have a very simple thing, right. Okay, let me have a very simple thing, and I do have, alright. So we'll first again we'll discuss it, and again we will try to show them how to find out it. Okay. So now let me show you import, right. The first package what I want to import here is lang package, right. So star is all classes need to come into this, and followed by import java dot right util package, and followed by you need to have a scanner class object, right. This scanner class object, what it will basically do is it's trying to take an input from your particular class, right. I'm giving a class name as demo51, right. right. So now I do one thing, right, say public static void main, write it as string args, okay, right. So for example, it is something like this, and first thing is what I need to do is I need to define a scanner class object, right. So how do I define the scanner class object? Something like scanner class and followed by, you can say, scanner class object. And after that I do want to define a simple dimensional or single dimension array. Array name is something, say C12, right. So new integer of, it required some size here, right. So for example, I am giving a size as 15, right, nothing but your program can accept the 15 numbers, okay. Before this, what I am gonna do is I will do one more thing here. I will do one thing, say I will define one integer variable called a size, right. Ask the user to enter some size to it, right. Say system dot out dot println, right, ask the user to enter the size of an array, right. I can say size of an array. Now let me say how do I read the size. Size is equals to C1 is next int is a method to read your input here. So what I will do is I will do pass this size as an input to this particular array now, okay, understood. Very simple thing. What I am trying to do is I am taking this size also sometime dynamic size, nothing but if I doesn't know what is exactly the size of array, I will just depend on the dynamic size, okay. Just let me execute this program up to this, then we will discuss in the next thing, alright. So extension of this program is Java, right, and try to save this particular program on the directory where your saving is. Once you done this, go to command prompt and try to shift the things where your program files are presented, right. My programs are presented in D drive and the program folder name called Java programming. In this particular programming folder, I do have all the files, and see that I am creating a few files from the day one and the same files are stirring in the same directory here, right. I am looking for the file name called demo51 here, okay. So I do have a file here that is something called demo51, okay. Now let me clear the screen once. Java C followed by demo51.java, right. So now let us see this. It just giving you a message here that a scanner class object required some input here. So what is that input here? System dot in is the input factor which is required for this, okay. I do compile my program again, right. Once it compile get successful, there is no errors are showing to me right now. The program is got compiled successfully. I am executing this particular program demo51, alright. So now let me execute this program, asking for the size. I am giving a size as 10. Nothing but what will happen is the moment when you giving this particular size and the size is pass it to this particular array. Now nothing but this size, sometime previously we usually discuss about only static size, nothing but we have to define our size only in our program. Now this size will be a dynamic size now, nothing but you can give any input to this particular program. You can give any input to this particular program and this size will store you that number, and again it will be give it to this particular array now, right. So after this, what I want to do is I want to read an element to this particular array. Now let me say system.println, ask to the user enter the elements here, right, asking for an element. So I do write a simple for loop to read this particular element. Say I is equals to 0 and I is less than C12 dot a length. I hope you understand. Yesterday I was discussed a property, call it as length property in yesterday's session, right. So length property which basically returns you the value of or current size of that particular array is, okay. So you just say that integer number, it will returns you the integer number is something which a size of that particular array is. How do I store it? C12, alright, is equals to of, in every location I want to store them, is equals to, how do I see this, C1 dot next int, right. Please look at this program once again. You understand what is we have done in yesterday's session and what we are trying to do in today's session here. So, whenever in yesterday's session we do discuss everything, it just simple as that what I have a static size over there, right. Now, I am trying to go for a dynamic size in the sense, for example, whenever you never know what is exactly the size of array, right. For example, I do have an array which is I do not know what is exactly, but for example, I want to enter the number which is exactly I does not know, right. So, in that case what I do is, instead of going for a number, instead of going for a static size, I am going for a dynamic size. Pretty simple. You know how to write the next int method, you know how to write the for loop, and you know how to write this particular variables here, right. Once you done with this, right. So, your variables, your program is got read all the values here. Let us say system.out.println, I am just giving a 2 next line signs here. I am giving a 3 next line sign. So, I am just writing a system.out.println, your entered elements are what are the elements you have entered. I just want to print them. Again, I will do construct a simple for loop for integer I is equals to 0, I is less than, the size is again same, C12 of length, okay, LENGTH, right. Length is a property, right, and then followed by I plus plus, right. So, now let us see system.out.println, right. So, what I want to do is C12 of what is I want to print here, the element of this particular array now. So, how do I print it? It is pretty simple, just need to write a system.out.println C12 of I, right. So, if you want to print all them in single line, just do one thing, write a print method, and after writing a print method, do concatenate with a simple string, alright. So, now let me save this program, right, compile up to this, then we will go to the next part. Compile this program, right, no errors in my program right now, just execute this particular program, asking for the size, let us say probably I am giving a size as 10, so that it need to have a 10 different random elements, 78, 95, 65, 25, 45, 12, 11, 9, 6, alright. So, these are the different 10 elements is given to this particular program. So, what is you want, what is the developer, as a developer what you need to do is, you need to print a number which is of 95 here, because it is a large element from the given numbers in your program is, alright. So, how do I do it? Let us find out here. First of all, we need to understand a simple basic, a simple logic, how to apply it, okay. So, now let me take you a simple example here. First of all, okay. Now, let me construct a simple array here, right. So, this array have a different elements, right. Let me assume that right now I do have a different 10 indexes over there, alright. So, in every index I do store some number here, let us say some number here, some number here, some number here also, some number here also, some number and some number. In every location I do store some number, but what I want to print all of this, I want to print a number which is of highest number from this particular all numbers. I want to print a number which is of highest, nothing but large number from that particular array. So, for that what I do is, I will take a first index number into some variable here. I will take it into a simple variable. Once you take it into the variable, I will compare each and every index till the last indexes, right. I will just take it this particular variable, I will compare with indexes to the last. Wherever this variable value is less than the index value, and then I will just shift them, right. It is pretty simple, what I can call it as pseudocode, you can call it as, okay. So, what is a pseudocode you need to write for this? I will tell you one thing, simple, very simple thing, right. You have this particular element, right. let imagine that this element number is 10. First I will assign it to a variable called a large, a number called large. I will assign it to the particular number, and I will compare with the next one, let us say 9, right. 10 is less than 9? No. For example, it will be get skipped, then it goes to the next index. For example, I want to make it as this one is 50, right. For example, 10 is less than 50, yes, correct. So what I will do is, in this particular moment, wherever this index is presented, I will do interchange with this. I will do interchange with the particular number which is already given there. Like that I will compare with the last, till the last index, and then I will print the element whatever it is required. Okay. So now let me show you with a simple example here first of all. Alright. So first thing is, what I want to show you here is, first thing is I do want to store some number in a variable, right. So for that what I will do is, I will take an integer variable called large number. Alright. By default the large number value is, by default this large number value is index of C12, index of 0, nothing but 0th index of this particular array I am assigning to large number. Am I very clear now? So what I am trying to do is assign the first index to the variable of large number. After assigning, what I do is, I do compare large number variable, right, compare with next all indexes, nothing but from the first index till the last index. Okay. Wherever the large number value is less than the index, then swap them, right. Understood now? It is pretty simple, nothing but I just need to take a simple variable, large number variable, and if wherever this large number value is less than that, I need to swap them. Before you understanding, you need to know what is a swapping means. Swapping in the sense interchanging two values of the variables. Or so whenever you want to change interchange of these two values, we do basically go for swapping methodology. Okay. So please do remember, swapping is a methodology to interchange the two numbers. For example, number one is A is 1, B is 2. After swapping, what is the values will be, B is equals to 1 and A is equals to 2. This is mean to say that swapping is. Or here if you are not swap them, assign it to the large, otherwise assign the value to large variable or large number. Am I very clear now? Right. So first by default I am doing is what? I am trying to do the default value which is making a 0th index element I am storing into the variable called large number. So after this what I want to do is, I do construct once again a for loop to make sure that I want to make a repetition has to happen till the last index, right. So length of this, length, length is a property, alright. So make sure that it is smaller case L, right. Then I say I plus plus, okay. So first thing is, this loop will be iterates from the 0th index to the last index of an array. But what is the majority, what is the basic intention? We need to compare this large number, with the next index. How do I compare it? It is pretty simple comparison. I just take simple if loop statement, because if loop will tell you if it is, for example, less than the value of C12 of I, nothing but the current index, wherever the index is less than this, I do one thing, I will make this large number value, of C12 of current index, alright. Wherever it is not less than, then the loop will not be executed, nothing but here this part will not be executed directly, the control will stop here and it goes to the next index of that particular arrays. Am I very clear, guys? Right. So now let me show you first practically, before I am showing with the practically, now let me show you with a simple example. I will store them only 5 elements in my array now. Now let me show you only 5 elements into this particular array, only 5 elements, right. So I will give a random 5 numbers to it, say first number is 10, second number is 1, third number is 4, fifth number is 90 and the last number is say 9, right. So what is the first intention? We need to assign this large number value, right, large number value. By default we are assigning as 10, right. So your for loop is getting started here. So I think what this loop is getting started, I is equals to 0, correct. I is less than the length of size. Size is how much? We are giving a size right now 5, right. It is also correct. Now what is the condition we have here? If large number is less than the current index, large number is what? 10 is less than the current index value is how much? 10. Is 10 is less than 10? No, it is a false condition. There is no meaningless condition, so that this part will not be get executed. So that directly it again goes to I plus plus now. It I plus plus, nothing but value of I will be incremented now. So now 10 is less than 1. Is 10 is less than 1 now? No, nothing but it is also false condition, nothing but your if will not be get executed now. So next is what? 10 is less than 4. No, it is also false condition, right. Then 10 is less than 90, right, exactly correct now. Nothing but the moment when the condition is correct, now what I am trying to do is this index value will be replaced this value now. Nothing but previously the value of large number is 10, now it becomes as 90 now, right. 90 is less than 9, no, nothing but your loop is get finished. As end of this loop, if you trying to print this large number value, if you trying to finish this, okay, after this I am trying to write a system dot out dot println, make sure that give a couple of empty lines or empty spaces here, right. So I do print this particular large number value, say large number value is equals to say large number, okay. So now I am going to save this particular program and go to compile this particular program now, right. Let us compile this Java program, right, compile successfully, execute this particular program, giving the size as just 5, I am just giving a size as only 5 right now, right. So that is your wish, whenever you want to increase the size and all, let us see, giving a size as 5, asking for the different elements, say 10, 1, 55, 95 and the last is 9. So in which, what is the large number in this particular program right now? The large number is 95. So what is the expected output? Expected output also same 95. So that we got the same output as what we are expected. Hope you understand this particular program. Alright. So once you understand this particular program, let me take you to the next example. In the next example, what I want to do is, here we have find out the large number, right. We have find that it is a large number. I do one thing, I will take one more variable in that particular list. I do want to find out a least element, nothing but small number I want to find out here. So how do I find out this small number now? Okay, so I have to copy, alright. So now let me show you this one, alright. So now let's a small variable, by default value of small variable index of 0 same. So right now what I will do is nothing but what I am trying to do is small variable or nothing but by default a user I am assigning the least element to a small variable or small number, okay, nothing but least index in the sense 0th index of any particular array whatever it have, I am assigning to a small number. after assigning to a small number, what I want to do is, next thing is, I need to compare all the indexes of the given array, right, and wherever the small number, right, is greater than the current index, right. Wherever it is presented, it has to be less than that. Previously we have checked for least element, less than. Now we need to check for greater element, current index. Then we have to assign the value as small number, nothing but I just need to assign the value as small number. How do I do it? It is pretty simple. Now let me take you with a simple example. I is equals to 0, right. I is less than, what is the size of this particular array is C12 dot length of this particular array, right, and then say I plus plus. All right. So now what I want to do is, I do construct once again a if loop. Number value is, previously we have checked for least, now we have to check for greater element. Say C12 of the current index value, if it is greater the number, need to change the values here. What is the values I need to change here? Small number value is equals to C12 of I, current index, right. So once you done with this, right, now let me give a couple of spaces here. Let's say system dot out dot print, give some spaces here, right, and I do write the same thing. Now small number is equals to, what is the small number value, right, I need to print this particular variable here, let us say small number. Okay. So do save this particular program and again go to compile your program now. Compile this particular program, right. So once it is get compiled, execute this particular program, asking for the size 5, give a different elements, let us say a 10, 5, 95, 65, 1, right. So in which we have find out that the large number is 95 in this particular current list what, 10, 5, 95, 65, 1, in which large number is what, 95. You are printing the large number as 95 and the least number is how much, least number which is given in that list, that is 1, right. So this is how we need to find out the how do you get a program or how do you write a program to find any list. For example, if someone is asking you a question like, I want to find out the large number from your given 10 numbers or 20 numbers, it is pretty simple that you need to apply this particular logic to your program. Once you are able to apply this logic, then your output becomes very simple. Yes, am I very clear, guys? Yes, this is all about. So an example of a single dimension array. So yesterday I was given you 2 examples and again I was given you one more example. Do practice this example to understand the single dimension array perfectly. So when you practice much, so that you will have a different ideas or you can have a different ideas to implement the same logic with another way. Alright, so that's the reason I am asking each and every candidate, or I am requesting, or you can take it as challenge or you can take it as suggestion, doesn't matter, right. So you do practice these examples every day what we are discussing in the class, right. So try to make a habitual on the hands-on experience, then it becomes very simple for you to understand the programming is. So that's it all about single dimension array. Now let me take you to the next type of arrays, that is multi-dimensional arrays. How this multi-dimensional, what is the meaning of multi-dimensional? So as we are define the definition for single dimensional is if which contains either single row or a single column, that is we basically call it as single dimensional array. But when it is comes to multi-dimensional array, it does not have only single line, it does not have a single column, right. So it do have a more than single rows and more than single columns, then we can call it as the arrays are supposed to be multi-dimensional arrays, in which two-dimensional arrays are very much important in this. Okay, how do I define it? An array which can consist of either, not either, let's see, has to be more, nothing but more than single row and more than single column, then the arrays we supposed to call it as multi-dimensional arrays. Okay, now let me show you the screen once so that we will find out a simple thing, right. So then after that we will find a few examples on this one. Okay, so if you are able to understand single dimensional arrays, and understanding of multi-dimensional arrays is pretty simple, right. So right. So right now we are discussing about multi-dimensional arrays, and in which first what we need to find out here, how do I declare this particular two-dimensional arrays first of all, right. We have an idea, any idea for anyone, right. So if you do have an idea that is single dimensional array idea, it's enough to learn this multi-dimensional array. So how do you declare it? Let's just see, flip to the next one, you will understand here. It is pretty simple that you do have a data type, right. Data type can be anything. See, our data type is like integer, character, float, string, or whatever it is, alright, depends on you. That is this is, I'll tell you one thing, you have defined an array, nothing but array comes under user defined data types, alright. So that is nothing but identifier. Identifier is a name which is given by the user, nothing but identifier is something like user defined name. Please write the syntax everyone. It is very, very important. All of these 4 syntaxes can be written in different ways. Okay, whatever you feel flexible, whatever you feel better, you can use any one of this one. Am I very clear, guys? Yes, alright. So now what I'll do is, how do I initialize this particular array elements here? For example, int is a data type, what I am trying to define here, ARR, nothing but the array name what I am trying to define here. 2 array braces, nothing but previously we do have only 1 square braces, 1 open square brace, 1 close square brace. Now it do have 2 things, nothing but it do have 2 different dimensions. Previously single dimensional, either it have only 1 horizontal line, nothing but 1 x axis, or else we have 1 y axis. But when it is comes to 2 dimensional array, it has to have exactly x followed by y, both, alright. 3, 3, here 3, 3 suggests for the size of an array, nothing but you can define your all element is something like this. Okay, so first I'll show you a basic thing, right, how do basically the categorization of this. Okay, so see that simple multi-dimensional array, how it looks basically, the position here we basically call it as 0, 0 position, 0, 1 position, 0, 2 position, 0, 3 position, and 0, 4 position, nothing but how many columns we have, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 columns we have. How many rows we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 rows, 5 columns here, nothing but this horizontal lines or rows, vertical lines or the column, nothing but what is the size of this particular array now? The size of this particular array which is given here, that is something called 4 rows and 5 columns here. Am I very clear, guys? Right, do understand the same thing with our example, alright. So I'll do one thing, I'll take you one more example which will be demonstrate you on multi-dimensional arrays now, right. Say first thing is import Java into this, right, and followed by import java.util dot a class name called a scanner class, alright. So I do write one more class here, the class name is demo 5.1, now 5.2 now, alright. So this particular class, right, I do have one static method, right, say args, yes. Now within this particular class, first what I want to define is, I want to define one multi-dimensional arrays. Okay, one multi-dimensional array. How do I define it? This particular array, how do I define it? It is pretty simple. I'll take an example of two-dimensional arrays now. Right. So how do I define it? Integer array. Okay. In integer array, what I basically have, let's check it out here. How this initialization is: integer array followed by name of array. Name of array is C1. We do have a two things, or two square braces open and closed. New integer of asking for the row size. Here we need to specify the row size. Here we need to specify the column size. Two sizes we need to specify here. Alright, so now in place of row size I am giving as 2, in the place of column size I am giving as 2, nothing but how many rows we do have? 2 rows, we do have 2 columns for this. How do I define it? C1 of 0th position of 0th position, nothing but do have 4 different elements. 0 element is 10. C1 of 0th element and first index will be 20. Right, C1 of first index 0th element will be 30. C1 of first index and first index will becomes as 40. Nothing but we do have 4 different indexes are presented over there in which we do have all the different values will be hosted over there. Okay. So how do I print this all values? For example, when I am talking about single dimension array, I do have used only single for loop because it have either row or a column. But in this case, how many columns we have? We have a more than one column followed by we have a more than one row. Right. So how do I do it? Instead of single for loop, you need to take a 2 for loops, which represents the first one represents row. Right. Row size is how much? 2 and say row plus plus. Okay. And followed by one more thing I need to define, set something like a for integer column is equals to 0, right, say column is less than for twice, right, say a column plus plus, nothing but first one represents the row, nothing but first loop will represent your row part and the other inner part will represent you column part. Okay. So within this I do write a simple thing, let something like system dot out dot println, okay, or just say print, right. So what is an array name? C1 of what is a row size and followed by what is a column size. So we just need to define this particular part. Understand now? Right. So I will tell you what is the working process of if you are writing a loop inside another loop. Alright. So how does this execute? So now let me give me some time, so I will explain you how does that particular works. Alright. So what is the class name here? Demo52 is my class name. Give a class name, extension is .java, right. So then I will say save this particular program into this. Okay. Now go to the command prompt, first clear the screen, compile our program, that is demo2.java, right, compile successfully. Now demo52 is our program to be executed. See that what is the value, how your values will be printed, again your values will be printed in single row, but as we are expected to print this particular values in more than single row and single column, but everything is printed in single horizontal line. So what is the problem? There is any problem in this program? Yes, we do have. After printing every row, I want to make my control to move it to the next line, say println, just a println, don't write anything there, automatically it will shift your elements to the next part. Okay. So compile this program, execute this. So see that you got the output of how you are expected, right. You got the output as 10, 20 is in first row, 30, 40 is in second row, 10 and 30 is in first column, 20 and 40 is in second column. But major factor is we need to understand very carefully how this inner for loops is executing with its programming languages, right. So, I do the same thing, I will explain you with one more example, right. Right. So, now let me take you the simple program whatever we have typed there. I am just taking the same program here also, right. So, how this particular program is working here first of all right. The first thing is right, the moment the control is start executing this particular program, as soon as your program is getting started. So, now first thing is it will be get start executes from this particular place, right. So, in this page there is a variable called r which is defined it as 0, right. As soon as when you define this, r value will becomes as 0 in the memory location and it becomes r is less than 2, nothing but the condition returns what? True. Once a condition is returns true, then it will enters into another for loop here. As soon as the control is entering into one more for loop, there is one more for loop is presented here. So, again the control will start executing this for loop also. So, now you are define the value of c is equals to 0 and c is less than 2, it is also correct, nothing but it is also returns you the value as true. Okay. So, once it is returns both returns true, this statement will be get executed system.out.println C1 of r value is how much? 0. What is the column value again? 0, both are 0, nothing but it is going to fetch an element which is presented in that location. Now, what is the value which is presented in that location? 10. Then most of the people have a question mark here. After printing this, where I supposed to move? Where I have to move it to either this place or else this place? A very big question mark for most of the people here, right. Do not confuse here and it will not be that difficult, very simple. See that as soon as when the program is executed this statement for the first time, then it has to finish this loop for a number of times, nothing but C++. It becomes now 1 is less than 2, correct, it is also returns you true, and second time this println statement will be executed. Now, at this moment what is the value of r? It is 0. What is the value of c? It is 1. Now, nothing but it is going to fetch the data which is presented in these two locations, right. Previously value is printed 10, now your value will be printed as 20. Now, the question mark again. So, after having this c value becomes as 2, 2 is less than 2, false condition. When the condition is false, it is going to execute this println statement. What we have written this in this println statement? We have not written anything in this println statement, we are just moving the control to next line, nothing but instead of waiting in the same line, we are making the control to move it to the next line, nothing but after printing 10 and 20, it will be waits at this particular place, your control will be blinks in this particular place. Now, again previously r value is 0, now it is becomes as 1, 1 is less than 2, correct. Now, nothing but outer part is repeating for first time and your inner part will be repeated for again twice, right. This is how we can able to get the 10, 20, 30 and 40 as the output for the program what we basically expected. Am I very clear, guys? Do understand this example, because with this example we do have a lot of programs to be discussed on this. Okay. So, we do have a lot of programs, lot of information can be on this particular program most of the time. Alright. So, understood this particular loops, right. If you are able to understand this particular loops, and it is very easy to understand your next things. Am I very clear, guys? Alright. So, this is all about to define and read and print that particular multidimensional arrays here. Okay. So, I do one thing. So, I have left the time for the day. So, I recommended each and every candidate who is attending the sessions on Java, make sure that you have to be practice every day, right? Practice every day. Without practicing, just seeing the class, going out, then that doesn't make you, it doesn't give you anything. So, that is the reason I always recommended for each and every candidate, try to practice more and more, so that you will have an idea to implement a new programs. Am I very clear, guys? Right. So, that is it for the day. We have learned something about programs on the today's session, like how to find a large number, how to find the small number, and how to for multidimensional arrays and all, right. Thank you so much as listening to my class. Have a great day. By the way, I am Anil Kumar, the trainer of APSSDC.